Paul's survival of a poisonous snake bite, as recounted in Acts 28 verses 3-6, is a powerful story of faith, divine protection, and God's purpose prevailing in the midst of adversity. Set on the island of Malta, this miraculous event occurred after Paul and his companions endured a harrowing shipwreck. The story not only highlights Paul's unwavering trust in God, but also serves as a testament to the transformative power of faith in the lives of those who witnessed the event. The Apostle Paul was on his way to Rome as a prisoner, having appealed to Caesar. During the voyage, the ship encountered a violent storm that lasted for days, leaving the crew and passengers in peril. Despite their best efforts to navigate the treacherous waters, the ship eventually ran aground on the island of Malta. Exhausted and drenched, the 276 survivors made it to shore, grateful to be alive. The Maltese islanders, described as unusually kind and hospitable, welcomed the shipwrecked travelers. They lit a fire to warm them, providing much-needed comfort after their ordeal. It was in this context of exhaustion, relief, and kindness that the snake bite incident unfolded. As the fire burned, Paul gathered a bundle of sticks to keep it going. While placing the wood on the flames, a viper, driven out by the heat, latched onto his hand. The sight of the snake hanging from Paul's hand was shocking. The islanders, familiar with the local wildlife, recognized the snake as venomous and expected Paul to suffer a swift and painful death. Their immediate reaction was to interpret the incident through the lens of their cultural beliefs. They concluded that Paul must be a murderer who, though he had survived the shipwreck, was now being punished by divine justice. "No doubt this man is a murderer," they said to one another, "whom justice has not allowed to live." Acts 28 verse 4 ESV. However, Paul's reaction to the snake bite was remarkably calm and composed. Instead of panicking or succumbing to fear, he shook the viper off into the fire and carried on as if nothing had happened. His lack of concern demonstrated his unshakable faith in God's protection and his confidence in God's plan for his life. As the minutes passed, the islanders watched Paul closely, expecting him to swell up or suddenly collapse. To their astonishment, none of this happened. Paul showed no ill effects from the bite, defying their expectations and the natural consequences of such an encounter. This miraculous survival was a testament to God's power and a clear sign of divine intervention. Witnessing Paul's survival had a profound impact on the Maltese people. Their initial assumption that he was a criminal marked for divine punishment quickly gave way to a new belief. Paul must be someone special, even divine. They said to one another, "He must be a god." Acts 28 verse 6 ESV. This shift in perception illustrates how miraculous events can challenge and transform deeply held beliefs. While the islanders' conclusion was misguided, it opened the door for Paul to share the truth about the one true God and the gospel of Jesus Christ. The snake bite incident was not an isolated event, but part of a larger narrative of God's work on the island of Malta. The island's chief official, Publius, welcomed Paul and his companions into his home and showed them generous hospitality. During their stay, Paul learned that Publius' father was ill with fever and dysentery. Paul prayed, laid his hands on the man, and healed him. This miraculous healing further demonstrated God's power and love, leading many others on the island to come to Paul for healing. Over the course of 3 months, Paul and his companions ministered to the people of Malta, sharing the gospel and performing acts of compassion. By the time they departed, the islanders held them in high regard and provided them with everything they needed for their journey. Paul's calm response to the snake bite reflected his trust in God's sovereignty and protection. He knew that God had a purpose for his life and that nothing could thwart God's plans. This same assurance is available to all who place their faith in God. The incident underscores God's authority over nature and his ability to protect his servants from harm. The snake bite, which should have been fatal, became an opportunity for God to display his power. Paul's response to the snake bite and his subsequent healing of Publius' father served as powerful testimonies to the islanders. Through these events, Paul was able to share the gospel and demonstrate God's love in action. Believers today are called to be witnesses for Christ, even in the midst of challenges. The Maltese Islanders initially misinterpreted the snake bite through the lens of their cultural beliefs. However, Paul's miraculous survival challenged their assumptions and opened their hearts to the truth of the gospel. This highlights the importance of engaging with people from different backgrounds and allowing God's work to speak for itself. The story of Paul's survival of a poisonous snake bite on the island of Malta is a vivid reminder of God's faithfulness and power. It demonstrates how moments of adversity can become opportunities for God's glory to be revealed and for lives to be transformed. Paul's unwavering faith and the miraculous events that followed not only saved lives, but also brought the gospel to a people who might otherwise never have heard it. As we reflect on this story, may we be inspired to trust in God's plans, remain steadfast in our faith, and seize every opportunity to witness to His goodness, even in the face of life's challenges. This passage challenges us to trust God in all circumstances. When faced with life's snake bites, we can rest in the assurance of His sovereignty and protection. Instead of giving in to fear, we are called to shake off the attacks of the enemy and stand firm in our faith. Additionally, we should remember that our response to trials can be a powerful testimony to others. Just as Paul's survival pointed the islanders to the power of God, our endurance through adversity can inspire faith in those around us. Finally, this story reminds us to focus on God's unchanging character rather than the fluctuating opinions of people. By anchoring our identity and trust in Him, we can navigate life's challenges with confidence and peace. In conclusion, Acts 28 verses 3-6 is a vivid reminder of God's providence, the importance of steadfast faith, and the potential for trials to become testimonies. Paul's survival points us to a God who is faithful, sovereign, and able to turn even the most dangerous situations into opportunities for His glory. Paul's survival demonstrates God's ability to protect His people even in the most dangerous circumstances. Despite enduring a violent storm and shipwreck, Paul now faced another threat to his life, a venomous snake. Yet, God's plan for Paul was not complete. He still had to testify in Rome. This highlights a profound truth. When God has a purpose for your life, no obstacle can derail it. As believers, we often face situations that feel overwhelming or life-threatening. While we may not always be spared from hardship, this story reminds us that God is in control. His protection is not always about removing difficulties, but about sustaining us through them for His glory and purpose.